So welcome and thank you everyone for joining me. Today we're going to be going over some of the FlexMLS essentials. Hopefully you can learn something new and just get a little better understanding of the system. To start with, I just logged into FlexMLS. As you see, I'm working under Paula, who's working under Jeff's account. So, but that should not limit us. We should have all the capabilities that all the other agents do as well. Now, this is my main dashboard. There's many different ways to get to that dashboard, no matter which page are you on. The easiest way to go back to that dashboard is by clicking on the FlexMLS logo. That will always take you to your home dashboard. Now, you can have multiple different dashboards, like for instance, there's an e-car, there's the default one, and you see they all look slightly different, and you can adjust them where it looks exactly as you like. This one was the one that it best fit my needs at the time. And here's how you customize your dashboard. I know that might seem like a small insignificant step, but it could save you tons of time searching for the right links. So the way to do it, first you have to select the layout of your gadgets. Those little boxes are called gadgets, and we need to select the layout for those gadgets. The way we do that is by going to change layout, and here are the available layouts. So we can have one large gadget across and a few more additional underneath. We can have 2 at a time. We can have 3 at a time, whichever fits you, whichever you like the best, whichever suits you, that's the one I want you to select. This one works just fine for me. I have quite a big screen, so I can see everything quite clearly. Okay. The next step would be to select your gadgets. Exactly what do you want displayed on your page? Now, all of you by default, I think have, actually I'm not sure what you guys have by default, but you have a couple of gadgets available. Now, you may not see as many options under your gadget as I do, but that's in the next step. I'll show you exactly how to customize those as well. So we're going to go and add gadgets, and they're separated by different categories, or you can just go and look under all of them and see what's the name of the gadget and a little description of what exactly provides for you. At the very least, I would suggest having the contacts gadget, the display listings, the hot sheet gadget, very, very important. Everyone should be looking at that daily. My listings, also a very important gadget, so make sure you go ahead and have that one. And the new search gadget. That alone can save you a lot of time, and like Dana was saying earlier, she was going the long way around. This would be one of the shortest ways around that you can get to wherever you need to go. So make sure you got that new search gadget added to your dashboard as well. And I also have the saved search ones, which for me, it's helpful, but it's not necessary. All you need to do is click Add Gadget right over here. Next to each one, that particular gadget will be added to your dashboard. So let's say I want the inventory gadget added, or I want the messages gadget added. whichever you think. Go and read the description, whichever you think you're going to need. Those are the one you're going to select. And once when you're done, we're going to return to the dashboard. Okay. So here are my new gadgets. They actually line right underneath each other, but I can go and drag them around. As soon as you see my pointer, my mouse pointer turning into a four-way arrow, that means you can click and hold and drag the gadget around to whichever you want to fit it. If you want it to go higher up or down, just drag it around. Okay, so let's work on the new search gadget. That's the one I strongly suggest you have on your dashboard. Now, whenever you first get the gadget, it's going to look like that. All you're going to have is the multi-property search available for you. The way you go around and add the additional search options is by simply going to Settings and Control select all the listings you want added or displayed and click on the Save button. So now you see all of them displayed. So what this does is usually, most likely, you go around this way. Search, quick search, residential, use, and if you have slow internet, that could take quite a while for it to load. What this allows you to do is click residential, and you're there. So it saves you the extra steps. That's why I was saying earlier, it could save you a lot of time, especially when you're on the go, and it's a very easy and convenient way to get to where or whatever you're looking for. You can look easily for residential land, rentals, auction, whatever it is. This gadget over here, the contacts, also have that settings option. However, if you select all of them, this is what happens, which is very inconvenient. So I'm going to go and select. I'm sorry, it's earlier I said it's Control Select, but it's actually Shift Select. Or you can do Control too, but if you're clicking one by one, click Save. See how messed up it became because it's too much information and it doesn't fit properly, and now you can't even read it. So what I like to do with this particular gadget is just keep it to the minimum or to the most important, which is the email, maybe phone number. And I want to know if they have a portal or not. So save. And that would suffice for me. Now the name will be there by default, so you don't have to worry about that one. But for everything else, just keep it to a minimum. Right underneath, another very important gadget. A lot of agents start their day by looking at the hot sheet, and it's a great habit to build. You want to be familiar with the market. You want to know what is going on in your area. So this is a great, easy, and quick way to do so by having that gadget on your dashboard. All you need to do is go under Settings again, select the areas you want the hot sheet ran for. So let's say you're only working Navarre or you're only working Fort Walton Beach. You can select one area. You don't have to select all of them at once. So select the area. If you choose to select the sub area, what kind of properties are you interested in? Do you want to know about everything, or do you just want to know about residential, maybe land, maybe commercial for sale? We don't do leases, so I'm not going to even go to rentals. So I'm just going to keep those three options and click Save. section, once it actually saves, first of all, it's going to have the exact description of what we picked up top. And second, it's going to run the actual hot sheet for us. And usually it doesn't take this long. So I might have to refresh the page to make sure it works properly. Oh, it kicked me out. That explains why it didn't work. Okay, so let's try this again. I'm going to go under settings. I only want to see, let's say, Fort Walton Beach. And under subtype, there's a lot to pick on. I wanted to see if there's Mary Esther, but I don't particularly see it. Oh, there it is. Mary Esther, east of Herbert Field. And there's Mary Esther, west of Herbert Field. Okay, and I want to see residential, land, and commercial for sale. Save. Let's hope it doesn't kick me out again. It looks like it may. And here's my problem. Me and Paul are sharing an account because they refuse to give me my own account since I'm still holding an active real estate license, and this is why she's most likely online doing the same thing as me right now. That's why it keeps kicking me out. Let's just hope that the problem doesn't proceed. But once the hot sheet is ran, this is what it's going to look like. It's going to show you exactly how many new listings you have, how many canceled, how many closed, how many have expired, and this would be the statistics for the last 24 hours. So very helpful, very powerful information to have on your site. Next section, save searches. If you saved any searches, you're going to have a long list over here. Back in the days whenever I did actually sell real estate, I would create a save search for absolutely all of my contacts. I may not know what they were looking for, but I would still generate a random search for them and encourage them to give me the right criteria. So I would just ask, hey, what does your dream home look like? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Is it upgraded? Does it need some DIY? Anything like that to prompt them to give me the extra information. And display listings here in this section under settings. I'm only displaying the office listings, and under my listings you'll actually see the number of listings you have. But the best part is that if there's any listings that are about to expire, and it gives you the option to set up exactly how many days before that particular listing expired, it's gonna publish them on that front page, and it's going to tell you like 2 listings are about to expire, and if you click on that number 2, it's going to show you exactly which one are those 2 listings, and you can go and talk to the seller at this point and say, hey, the listing is about to expire, we haven't had any offers, we're probably overpriced, let's talk. So it gives you a reminder if you need to do anything with that particular listing. Okay, so that's the quick overview on the dashboard. So moving on, next tab is add and change. Here is where you're going to go and add to your listings. So you can just click on add, and it's going to start asking you information. Just follow the steps. It's not going to let me proceed, but make sure you filled in all the fields that are in red. And make sure the information is as accurate as possible. If you need to make any changes to the listing, you're going to go to the next section, which is change. You're going to select the exact listing you need to change, click next, and at that point it will allow you to make changes. If at any point you have not finished entering the listings but just saved it, you can find the draft under my incomplete listings. So you can go and finish it then. My unmapped, pretty self-explanatory. You just have to go and adjust the little pin on the map, point it at the exact location. Again, accuracy is very important. I've been called out on my listings being mapped improperly or anything like that. So make sure you do that. And as far as I'm aware, nowadays the minimum requirement for Flex to accept the listing is to have at least one picture on it. So make sure you go and add a picture to your listing. Next step, search. We already looked at the quick search. I'm not going to go over it too much because now hopefully all of you have that little gadget on your dashboard, so you won't even have to look at this quick search any longer. Map search. Again, you have to select exactly what you're looking for: residential, land, commercial, or so on. And it's going to take you really to the map tab. So you can either draw a rectangle, circle, polygon, whichever it is around a certain area, and it's going to narrow it down for you. There's different overlays you can do on the map to make sure that you get the exact location you're looking for, the exact properties in a certain location, but I'm not going to go into that much detail into it right now. Okay, CMAs. You can go and start a CMA from here, or you can preview your existing ones. Now, I've heard from different agents, and I'm getting very different opinions. Some are okay with the CMAs here in Flex, others absolutely hate them. My suggestion is go in, create a couple of CMAs, and see what your personal opinion is. See if you like the CMAs, see if you think they're accurate enough before you start judging. And in a little bit, we're actually going to do a CMA, so you can see the exact steps that needs to be taken to create a CMA here in Flex. Okay, again, I'm going to be skipping a lot just because I want to focus on what's most important in the system and what's going to make your work much easier and more proficient. Saved searches. Kind of like the CMA, you got a list of all the saved searches. You can go, click on the search, and either edit it or view the results from that particular search. For instance, I have one here for aerial dunes, so if I click on view all, I can see exactly what it is. It seems like it's for active listings. If I go into edit search, I can see the exact criteria that was set up. So I have residential, active, in the area dunes. That's it. That's under saved searches, so you can go there and preview all of your searches. Now, there's different ways to organize your searches like everything else. I personally like to name my searches after the client's name. So if it's John Smith, it's going to be John Smith's listings. If it's Jane Doe, it's going to be Jane Doe's listings, and so on and so on. I know some agents like to create a little more generic searches for, let's say, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, like this one here in area dunes. Wow. The reason I don't do that is because eventually whenever I do talk to the client, their criteria will be slightly different from the next person, so I'll have to go and customize the search anyway. So I just don't waste my time on the generic ones, just doing more specific ones named after the particular person. Okay, daily functions. We already went under the hot sheet, talked about it a little bit, but if you want to run a hot sheet for a different criteria than what you have set up on your dashboard, you can do that from here. Again, choose your area, sub-area, and the type. And you can run the 24-hour hot sheet and see exactly there was one listing, for instance, in the, on Navarre Beach this past 24 hours. So Navarre agents, step up. We need you in. That's under hot sheet. My messages, if anyone sends a message to a listing, or if they e-car posts any messages or neighbor or anything like that, this is where you're going to see the notes. Here I sent a test one a couple of days ago on one of on some random listings. So here is the test note, so you can go and preview it here. Tour and open houses, super important. First of all, that for me, especially the tours, are a great way to get familiar with your local market, to get familiar with the inventory. So any chance I had, I did attend the local tours. This is how you can preview what tours and open houses there are. So you can select from which date to which date you want to look. Right now it's set up from today till next week. You can go and let's say you want to see for the entire month. Select that. Include the primary listing photo if you want to. You can select one of the other options and just click next. And it will show you a list of all the open houses with the listing agent, with the address of the property, with a little overview of the actual listing. And like you see, there's quite a few. The other option, tour of homes. Next, it's going to show you exactly which day the tour is on. Again, who is it listed by, the location, the price, and the directions to the property. And actually, if whenever the agent was putting the house in on the tour, it gave them the option to put a little comments. So if there's anything you want to add, you can put it in the comments. Now, here's how you add one of your listings to an open house or to a tour of homes. You do that by clicking on one of those links, selecting the listing you want to add. I'm not going to add anything right now because Jeff doesn't have any listings and I don't want to add one of our agents, but simply select which one, add, and at that point it's going to ask you for what time you want to add it, what date and what time, and if you want to put any notes to it. So again, under daily functions, tour and open houses, pretty important tool that you have available, and absolutely something you should take advantage of. Next, it's contacts, and the contact manager is the one I want to take a closer look at. This is where you're going to find all the contacts in your database. So let's say I want to add someone. All I have to do is at the blue bar where it says quick add the first name, add the last name, and add an email address. Okay. At this point, you can select if you want to create a portal for them or not, and click add. And there's John Doe, and his portal, it's on. Now, you see, once when I clicked on his name, I have different tabs up top, so I can look at the overall details. Under search and subscription, I'm going to find out if he has any searches set up under his name. Under portal, I'm going to see his portal details, and I'm going to see if there's any listing activity available, and by that I mean if he actually logs into his portal, it's going to show me over here exactly which properties he's been looking at and how many times he's been looking at this particular property. Now that's again very powerful tool, very important information for you to know, because obviously the more times he or she has looked at a particular property, the more interested they are in it. So at this point you can call them and be like, hey, I see you're looking at this property. It's super hot property. It's gonna go any day now, so maybe we should schedule an appointment and go and take a look at it in person. So it gives you an excuse to, at the very least, to call the client. Okay. Any messages, if they left for you, will be displayed here. Any notes they've made or any notes you make could be listed there. Any listing notes, and if there's any links available, which there aren't right now. Okay, so that's the most important thing under contacts. So again, I'm not going to waste too much time on the rest of the options. One thing I forgot to mention initially, I am going quite quick through all those different options, so it could get very overwhelming, a lot of information coming in at once. So first off, I already said that you can go and rewatch the webinar at the YouTube channel, the Keller Williams YouTube channel. But if you need additional help, right up here at the top right corner, you'll see the help button. And there's the user guides, quite the book. It's quite the thick, I would say over 100-page binder. But then you have the video tutorials, you have different forums, or you can just contact support, and they're pretty good at answering any questions. So if you don't get enough out of this webinar, please feel free to use one of the available resources to find the answers you need, or just give me a call and maybe we can figure it out together. Okay, so under taxes, you have a link to RPR, which is the realtor property resource, you need to go and actually create an account to be able to log into that one. But it's a very good website. I actually have the app on my cell phone that I constantly use whenever I show properties, or whenever I used to show properties. So it gives you information for not only the listed properties, but any neighboring properties as well. If there's any distress status or anything like that, it will be displayed here on the Realtors Property Resource website and on the app. And the app actually has that function where you can go and look at nearby properties. That way you don't have to know the exact address. You can just pinpoint your location and go from there. Also, another great thing about the Realtors Property Resource, or RPR, is that from what I've heard, and I've only tested it once, but they're creating a lot more in-depth CMAs. So a lot of realtors actually like to refer to RPR for their CMAs instead of FlexMLS. Again, entirely personal preference. It's which one you're going to use, one or the other. So that's under the RPR, and CRS will take you to the tax records. Statistics, pretty self-explanatory. Preferences. Preferences are actually a huge part of FlexMLS, so I would not suggest touching everything in those preferences, but if it looks safe, you can play with it a little bit. The reason I'm saying that is one of those options, and I can't recall which one was exactly. My reports, maybe. I had an agent, she somehow got into the source codes in here, and it was such a mess trying to fix it, and they actually could not fix it. Even support could not fix it. She had to go and have to reset her entire profile. So just be careful what you're playing with here under preferences. I'm trying to find the one I'm referring to. I'm just not sure where exactly it was, but the two you should be focusing for sure is, first of all, my profile, the very top one. Here you can go and look at your names, make sure everything is spelled right, and yours might look slightly different if I remember right. If you have added any documents or disclosures, your address, make sure you put the mailing address in here. You don't have to put your home address on anything, and that's what I always suggest. Absolutely none of your clients need to know what your personal home address is. So you should always be adding the address of one of the offices you're working from, be that Fort Walton Beach, Niceville, Navarre, whichever you choose, but don't add your home address to it, because you don't know where it's going to be displayed and who's going to have access to that information. Now, obviously that's a public record information, but why make it easier to find where we can just keep it? My phone numbers, if you have several, you can keep adding fax, mobile. Let's say I want to add the office one in here as well. All I'm going to do is click new. It's going to be, it could be many different categories. It's going to be office. On description, I can just put office again. There are not any international codes, so I'm just going to put the phone number, 850, and I'm putting the phone number here in the Destin office. If there's any extensions, and you have the option to select, is this your primary phone, yes or no. Now, obviously, you can have only one primary phone number, and if you go through the different options, it's going to have a little disclaimer on which one exactly it's your primary phone number. Okay. Going back into my profile, same with the exact same thing with the email address and with the websites. You have the option to add more than one email address, as well as more than one website if you have more than one. Personal photos, go ahead and add your personal photo because that will appear on the reports you're sending out. So you do want that image out there, you want the branding, you want people to start associating your name to your brand. So if you use your image or if you use a certain logo into your brand, you should most certainly make sure it's uploaded here as well so you can continue the trend. This being Jeff's account, maybe I can go and find a picture of Jeff, but I don't want to waste time on that right now. Okay. Back to my profile. The last one is security. So if you need to go and change your password, you can select that from here. You can have this two-step verification if you choose to enable that. I've never tried it, so I can't tell you if it's something that you should be doing or not. I've never had a problem with my Flex account being hacked, or I've never heard of anyone hacking the Flex account. So if you want to play around and test this option, please feel free. Okay, preferences. The next section I want you to take a look at is the general preferences. You can go over the different options. For instance, what's the default size? Which one is your default version, the public or the private when you're viewing, not when you're sending? Automatically choose which tab to select. Quick search is my default tab when editing a search, or a map search is my default tab. So those are different options here. You can choose your default business card. They all look pretty similar. I'll show you in a little bit exactly what the difference is between the generic profile and profile vertical. Very, very similar to each other. Email and print. So if you're going to be emailing or printing, which one you want to be your default version, absolutely it should be the public one, because chances are pretty good that you're going to be emailing it to a contact. So if you don't know, I'll show in a little bit what's the difference between public and private, but rule of thumb, public, it's for clients, private, it's for agents. choose the default email type. It should be selected HTML, which is the mobile-friendly version. If you want to select your default email signature, you can do that, or you can uncheck it. What do you want to attach to the email? Which one of the tabs? I always leave the open house tab unchecked. I don't want people going to open houses, clients going to open houses without me. Therefore, that tab is and will stay unchecked. It's not like that they can find out about the open house from another place. I just don't want to give them the ammunition to use against me. Email hot sheet. If you need the email hot sheet delivered to you in the morning instead of you logging in to Flex every single morning, then you can do that. I think it comes in sometime around 2 or 3 in the morning. So if you're gonna do that, make sure you turn off your phones, unless you, of course, you want to be waking up in 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to look at new properties. FlexMLS Dashboard. Again, it just shows how many days before a listing expires will be displayed and how many days after the closing occurs a listing will be displayed as a sold. So just go over all those different options and select the ones that the best suits you, the ones that fit your business, your brand, your model, whatever you want to call it. And once when you're done, just click next to save the changes. And last but not least, under preferences, I want you to go and take a look at your portal preferences. It's going to give you a suggestion for name. By default, what the name of the portal will be. And this is what your client will see. So it's going to be http://portal.flexmls.com/Jeff Adamson. I sometimes choose to name the portals after an email address if I don't have their name, but that's entirely up to you. When creating new accounts, automatically send an email greeting. I absolutely do want this checkbox marked, and here's the greeting that will be sent out to them. I've set up a customized website called a portal for you. Using this site, you can keep track of listings, send me messages, and keep track of listings you like and dislike. Follow the link below and enter your login information to begin using your portal. Once you are on the website, be sure to save the address as a favorite so you can easily visit again. In the lower right panel of the home screen, you will be able to change your password to whatever you like. And their username and password will be also attached, but if you want to change any of this information, you can do that from here. And here are the examples of the different cards. Excuse me. So this is your generic card, your name, company address, phone number, email address, and website. The profile card, exact same thing. However, if you have added an image or a picture, it will be displayed right in front of all this information. And profile card, vertically, the picture, if I'm not mistaken, will be displayed above. So they all look pretty similar. So go ahead and choose the one you want. Portal preferences. Allow the statuses in portal news. So which one we want to be set by default for portal. So we want them to see the active, the pending, canceled. I don't care about canceled, to be honest. Withdrawn, expired. The client really need to be worried about the active and the pending. The active, for obvious reasons, the pendings, just because we want to create that sense of urgency that they need to be focusing on buying right now, because the properties they fall in love with today may not be available tomorrow. Which one would be the default links sent, the newsfeed, the email listing, saved searches, or the MLS feed? Start position. I actually always like the listing to start at the details page instead of the default, because the defaults changes. So the details is my preferred start position. Listings view, if it's residential, then it's going to be the residential. If it's land, then it's going to be land, and so on. List sorts or listings by new or recently changed first. That works fine. Which tabs do we want added? Do we want everything? Again, I do not want the open house tab, so I've unchecked that one. Everything else is just fine with me. And at the very bottom, you can select the color of the portal. So on the side, you'll see a little bar with all of your contact information. And it's going to be the color of that bar. It's going to be whatever color you select here. So if I click on Save and View, it's not going to show me anything apparently. It should have ran a little preview, but again, the system is not playing nice with me today. So that's for the preferences. Those are the three very important points I want you to be focusing on. You're more than welcome to look through the rest as well. Just don't play too much with it, because it can be broken. Which is weird, because usually I say go and play with the system, touch, don't be afraid to click around. You can break it because it's not meant to be broken, but apparently this one was a little bit meant to be broken if you don't know what you're doing. So just be careful a little bit with the preferences. Okay, back to FlexMLS. The first thing we're going to do after we previewed all those tabs is we're going to create a saved search. As I was saying earlier, I do like to create saved searches for absolutely all of my clients, even if I don't know what they're looking for exactly. I'm just going to create a random saved search. And I'm just going to run a very random residential search right now. Let's say current price between $250 and $500. Area, Navarre Gulf Breeze. Sub area, let's just focus on Navarre Beach. And subtype, detached. Well, that's pretty narrow, so let's go to condo. There you go. We have a little more options. We can select the number of bedrooms. Now, if there is something in particular that they're interested in that you do not see on that field, so for instance, I've had several clients that are absolutely set on having land. So what they're going to say is, I want at least half an acre, or at least an acre, or 2 acres. Well, I don't see acreage anywhere here. So what I'm going to do is, in that add a field to the search box, I'm going to click there and start typing acreage, and here it is. So I'm just going to click on it, and now the acreage was added to my search options. We already have the waterfront, but let's say they want water view. Not necessarily waterfront, but they could take a pic out the window and maybe spot a little water. So what we're going to do is type water view, and we can add a particular water view if they're interested, or if they're interested in more than one, I can just add the whole menu by clicking on water view, and now I can select exactly what kind of view we're looking for. So this system is very, very customizable. Unlike the listing alerts in Market Leader, this one can be touched on many different levels. Another way to search for something, I'm going to remove the sub area for a second because I want to look at everything in the bar. I'm going to remove the condos. So let's say we have a client who wants to be in Holly by the Sea. They absolutely love Holly. It offers the exact amenities that they want, and that's the only place they want to be in. So I'm going to go under project name subdivision, and I'm going to type Holly by the Sea. And of course I spelled Holly incorrectly. There we go. So we have 54 listings in Holly by the Sea. Great. Let's say they have the opposite though. They do not want Holly by the Sea. They absolutely hate it. They'll take anything but. Okay, we can do that. I'm just going to click on this like and turn it into not like. So now it's going to show me everything that is anywhere but Holly by the Sea. So if it has Holly by the Sea in it, it's going to take it out. So you have like and not like. Same with the waterfront. So they want waterfront, bay, canal, Gulf Pass, or not a bay, canal, or water pass, or all three of them if possible, to be on the bay, to be on the canal, and to be on the Gulf. So that's how customizable this system is. You can select as many different options as you choose. Okay, so now that we ran our search, I'll go back to, okay, I'm actually not going to go back. I'm just going to leave it as it is. Holly by the Sea works just fine for me. I'm going to go and save that search simply by clicking on the little save up top. And save search is the option I'm going to choose. I have to give it a name, and as I was saying earlier, I like to name them after the clients. So let's say this one is going to be for John Doe. You don't have to necessarily enter search description unless there's something very particular that the client has shared with you, just because all the criteria will be already saved by default for your convenience. Next, you have to select if you want to create that search for a new or existing contact, or you just want to save it as a generic search that you can add to different contacts. So I'm going to select for an existing one because I already added John Doe. So I'm going to find his name and select it. Now, if it was for a new contact, all you have to do is put the name in and put the contact email. So let's say I'm making it for myself and I'm a new client. So I'm going to create that search. Do you want to create a portal account for this prospect? Yes or no? I sure do. Username, again, you can either use the display name or you can use the email address. I prefer to use the email address. There's the username. And I always generate random password. Now, I've heard that some people like to do a different way. They like to set up the password as their phone number, or the password is some code or whatever they're using, which is great, absolutely, if you want to go ahead and do that. For personal though, I put a random one, first of all, because I don't want to waste my time. Second of all, if I receive an email like that, first thing I'm going to do is go and change my password. So even if you send me some code or phone number or anything like that, I'll change it anyway. So it's not like I'm going to remember that number just because you gave it to me. So that's just my personal opinion. Make sure to send me the default notification for this user is selected. And I'm going to click on additional search options because this is actually pretty important to me. Exactly what do I want the saved search to be about? And maybe something I should have mentioned before I started this, exactly what the saved search is. Every time a new property hits the market, or a property that matches the client's criteria hits the market, the system will generate an automatic email and it will attach that property to that email to the client so they can be the first to know that, hey, this property matching your criteria just hit the market, blah, blah, blah. So you are that source of information that stays always on top when it comes to providing the most accurate and up-to-date information, and it provides it first. So it's a battle sometimes. So we want to be the ones on top. Okay, so what events define a listing as a new? To me, all the new listings, all the price change. I would leave the status change selected just because, again, I want to create that sense of urgency. If properties are moving quick, I want the client to know so they can make decision quicker as well. Back on the market, I actually do want them to see properties if they come back on the market. Sometimes we end up taking properties off the market for a couple of days for one reason or another. Some repairs needed to be done or anything like that. So I'll put that check mark on. Extension, if it did not catch their eye the first time, I don't think the extension will make much difference, so I will leave that one unchecked. And open houses, I already talked about that. I do not want the client going to an open house without me. Therefore, I'll leave that box unchecked. If they want to know about open houses, they better schedule an appointment with me and we can go together. Okay, and the time frame, when it should be considered, is it 24 hours, 24 minutes, 24 days, whichever it is. 24 hours will be your default function, so I'm just going to leave it at that. What view do you wish to associate with this? I'd leave it at the residential. Prevent deletion. I'm not worried about that. I don't accidentally delete stuff. So at this point, you can save it and be done, or save and add a subscription, which that's how actually that email starts going out. It's by adding a subscription. So I absolutely do want to do that. Save and add a subscription. That's going to open a new page, and it's going to take me through some of the subscription options as well. And some of the subscription options are, first of all, again, you can change the name if need be. I leave it as it is after the client. Preview mode, and if you hover over the little exclamation mark, it's going to tell you exactly what the preview mode is. It gives you the option for that email with those new listings to come to you first before it goes out to the client. That way you can sort through them and decide exactly which listings to go out and which one do not go out. Now, this is a great option, the preview mode. And if you have a very picky client who's, why did you send me this fixer-upper? I told you I only want brand new, or I only want move-in ready, and I don't have the time to do this or that, so don't send me this and that. We'll sometimes stumble onto those clients. So for that type of people, I would say go ahead and turn the preview on so you can see before the email goes out. However, don't turn it on for everyone. If you're like me, if you create a listing, a saved search for every single person that goes through your database, you'll end up with hundreds, hopefully one day thousands of saved searches. And do you want to receive hundreds of email at 3 o'clock in the morning saying, hey, this listing just hit the market? So you don't really want to do that. It gets very overwhelming very quick. I've had agents ask me how to turn them off because they're just so over it. So just leave the preview mode for those special, very picky clients. Don't do it for everyone. The contacts that will be added to that subscription. Go next. Actually, I'm sorry, I skipped the send notification of new listings. This is kind of like the preview mode. However, instead of you deciding which listings from the ones selected you should actually send out, this just gives you the list. So it doesn't give you any options of yes, send it, or no, don't send that one. It just gives you the list of the listings. So I sometimes leave that off. Most times I turn it off. I don't need to know that. I just send it to the contacts. Now, the one I do want to know about is the next one, which is send me an email when a contact clicks the link. Yeah, I do want to know about that one. Because at that point I can go into the portal and see exactly which listings they looked at. I can see how many times they looked at it. I can see if they left me any feedback. So I do want that checkbox selected. Okay, next option is scheduling, and you can choose exactly when the email goes out whenever a new property hits the market. Do you want it going out every day? And usually it's going to go out at the same time, of course, if there are any new listings. So Do you want it daily, weekly, which days exactly? You can clear them all. Do you want it monthly? If I've had those clients, yeah, we're looking to buy in 2020 when we retire. Well, why in the world are you calling me in 2014, 15 if you're going to be buying in 2020? It's not like the same properties will be available then, but you'll be surprised. They call. So, and they want listings. They want to see what's on the market. So sometimes they change their mind and retire earlier, buy earlier. Sometimes they don't. Anyway, maybe you don't want to overwhelm those clients with too many listings too often. So you just want to set it up to monthly, once a month, to touch them with a few listings. Entirely up to you. For most of my clients, I set it up to ASAP, which is as soon as possible. So as soon as a new listing hits the market, the client will be receiving an email saying, hey, take a look at what just popped out. Make sure if you like it, let me know so we can schedule an appointment, because it's going to go out fast or anything like that. So that's the ASAP option. I leave it as it is here, the view to be sent, the residential. The next part is the email that actually will accompany that particular email, that particular link with the property. So it has to be something very generic, because it's going to be coming out every time a new listing goes out. So I like to view new listing matching your criteria. And in the body, I'll put something generic like, hey, whatever the name of the client is. Hey, John. Apparently I can't spell today. Take a look at what just popped out. Just came on the market. Please let me know if you are interested, so we can schedule an appointment. Oops. Oh, come on. Let's see, where did I miss? Keep showing. Thank you. That's it. I keep it very short, I keep it very simple, and I keep it very generic. And click Save. So next time, a new listing matching that criteria, active, between 250 and 500, in Navarro Breeze, 3 bedrooms at least, in Holly by the Sea, hits the market, I will receive an email saying, hey John, look at what just popped. Let me know if you're interested so we can schedule an appointment. Short, sweet, to the point. At this point, you can select those 54 listings that are already available and send them through Flex. You can select just a handful, because 54 is a little too many to look at. I usually don't like to send more than 10. I really like to keep it around 6 or 7, but 10 it's the very top I would send them. And the last option is to not send listings now, which also you can select that one. Now, That's actually the option I usually select, do not send listings now, and I'll explain why. Whenever you send the email, it's going to come out from FlexMLS. I want all of my marketing, all of my searches, everything, I want to come out from the same email address. I don't want to confuse the client, so should I be responding to this email or should I be responding to that one, and where should I be going next? I want everything to be connected. That's why I usually just close this box, take a quick view of the listings, select the one I want. I always try to add at least a few Keller Williams listings as a courtesy to my fellow realtors. So I'm going to look through the list, add a few that I think will be a appropriate match for them. Under the selected. Okay, and go and email those few listings, the interactive version, the public interactive version, on the details page by default, to myself, and when it comes to me, I'll copy the link and forward just the link to the person from my email address. That way I don't cause the whole confusion of where should I be responding, which email I should be using, and so on and so on. So that's what I like to do. How you approach it entirely is always up to you. Okay. Oh, one more thing I said that I want to show you was the difference between the private and the public version. So this is the private version, and the way you're going to know that is if you have the agent notes included. That means it's the private version. If you have all this included here, the commission splits, the agent phone number, that means is the private version. The public one only has Keller Williams Realty West Branch. It doesn't show any of this additional information. It doesn't show the listing agent phone number because you don't want the client contacting another agent. You want them contacting you. And it doesn't have any of the agent-to-agent remark. Those are private. They are only for agents. Everything else, it's absolutely the same, but those two. So again, the rule of thumb, clients always receive the public versions. You always look at the private for yourself. Public for clients, private for agents. Okay, so let's say we have a house, and I usually like to do that on my personal property because I'm a little more familiar with it, but we're going to run it on just a random property right now. So what I'm going to do is run a CMA. So let's pick one of those properties here to be our target property. For instance, we're going to pick this one over here, Sandstone. So the MLS number is 7401, and I'm writing it down 79. So that's my subject property. So I'm going to uncheck it. And I'm going to use the rest as my my comparables. So I have 9 selected. I'm going to go in the top right and select CMA. And I'm going to use the selected results because I've sorted through them and I've decided that those are the ones most appropriate. I'm going to run a full CMA. I want to base my CMA on sold price per square foot, and I'm actually going to stop here because I just realized the biggest mistake ever. You don't run a CMA based on active properties, you run it based on sold ones in the area. So I'm going to go and select the status to instead set sold. And you can either do sold in the past year, or you can do a little shorter time range. So let's say you just want to do 6 months, so it's going to be instead let's just say January 2016. That's what, about 5 months actually, but that would do. So we just want to use the results from the last 5 months. We have 56 properties. Well, that's a little too much to look through. So I'm going to go and find my subject property. So I'm just going to open a new Flex tab. I want to know exactly where the property was located on the map. And I'm going to need to be going back and forward between the two. So I'm going to enter the MLS numbers. I'm going to go under the map and see exactly where is it. Also, it's right by the gate on Coral. So what I'm going to do is go back to this one. And I'm going to go into the map view. And I'm going to draw a circle around that area, or since we're looking for Holly by the Sea, we're going to draw a rectangle from here, let's say here. So it's about, I would say maybe 1/4 of a mile in each direction from the subject property. So now we have 11 results, pretty manageable. Again, I'm going to look through the results, make sure all of them are appropriate. I'm going to go in and select this one. So here are my 11. Let's say all of them are perfect match. They seem appropriate. So I'm going to select all of them and do a CMA. And I'm going to do a full CMA based on sold price per square foot. Next step, who am I preparing this for? Let's use John Doe again. I forgot it was John Doe or John Smith, but it doesn't matter. As of the date you did the CMA, I would not select the second option that says always use current date, because the market changes. So you don't want to use the same CMA 6 months from now. You want to do a new one. That's why I use the current date. Who was it created by? And you can select again one of those different cards I was showing you, or you can just select to display the name. Any comments you want to add at this point, especially if I haven't seen the property in person and I'm just relying on information from the website, from the property records, or pictures from old MLSs, I would put a note saying, hey, This is just a comparative market analysis. It's not an appraisal. It's not meant to be an appraisal. And it's a very, it may be somewhat inaccurate since it's based on me not seeing the house. I would love to give you a little more accurate analysis. I'm available this day and that day to come and take a look at the house. Please let me know which one works better for you. So I would put all that in the notes. That way I can get my foot in the front door. Next step. So I'm just going to follow the steps. Now, we need to put a subject property. So at this point, we can manually enter the address, or if we have an existing listing, we can just put the MLS number. Submit, and it's going to auto-populate with the picture, with everything. So it makes it much easier. It's going to show us the general criteria, 4 bedrooms, square footage, and so on and so on. So at this point, you might want to remove some fields. You might want to add some fields. For instance, how important is the mortgage type to me? Not very, so I'm going to remove that one. Or you can add a new field, new item, and select what that item will be exactly. Once when you're done, move to the next step. Make sure you have the comps you want to use, or you can add additional comps. Next step. Here's where we're going to make some adjustments. And the way we do that is, first of all, we need to be familiar with the property. So if we need to go and take a look at any of the listings, look at the details, look at the information provided, and so on and so on. Let's just say for this instance that one of the houses had a pool, Manatee Street. This one over here has a pool. I don't know for a fact that it does, but we'll assume that it does. Therefore, we need to deduct the price of the pool. Pools run somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000, so I'm going to deduct $20,000 off of this one with a minus. Okay, and that will make the adjustment for me in the price. Okay, or let's say, what's a different adjustment we can make? Our property has a fenced backyard. This one doesn't. Let's say a fence on such a big yard runs about $2,000. We added this adjustment there. Okay. Once we're done making our adjustments, we're going to click Next. This is just a little overview, a little summary of all the information. You can see the average sold price per square foot. It's for that square footage, the average days on the market. It doesn't really give us the average price per square foot. But, oh, there it is. Average sold price per square foot, it's $111. The average sold price is $295, $727, and so on and so on. So there's a little statistic here you can look at. Up here you can see exactly what adjustments you've made. And we're going to click to the next step for the recommendations. So this is the low recommendation, this is on the high end, and this is the recommended price. Or you can change those numbers if you want to round them up a little bit. So let's say the recommended is $299. 279, just under 300. On the low side, you don't want to go below 274, 900. Again, you want to fit just be below 275. On the high end, you should not exceed more than 320, 324, 900. So you can go and adjust those numbers manually. It's entirely up to you how you're going to do it. So next step, you're going to have the cover page, the map of the subject and comparable properties. It's going to be the street map or the satellite. Street map, it's a little easier to read. Subject property description, side-by-side comparison of all the listings. Sort the side-by-side by status. Well, all of them are sold, so there's not going to be much sorting going on. Search parameters, statistical summary, display, and again, you can select the default color for the CMA, for the report. Do you want all the listings printed or only the listings marked as comparable? I obviously want only the 11 I selected, not all 60, some of them. And at this point, I'm going to click on either Save or PDF because I want to preview exactly what the report will look like, because I find little mistakes here and there or something I don't like oftentimes, so I just like to go and preview it beforehand. And here it is, downloaded. I'm going to click on it, and this is what it's going to look like, and this is where that color that we chose appears. So if you were wondering, here, if you put any comments, they'll be appearing in additional box here as well. Here's the map of your subject property with the pin. The circles with the sold are the comparables. A little overview of the subject property. A side-by-side comparison. And you can see exactly where you've deducted or added any money to the listings. Here's the 2000. And the first listing actually on each and every page will always be the subject property. So that will repeat on every page. That's the statistic we looked over. The price recommendations, and print out of all of the comparable properties MLS sheets with any adjustments that were made on that particular listing. And that's it. That's the entire report. So we went over pretty much all of the important features and the most used ones in FlexMLS. So at this time, I actually want to open all the microphones and see if you guys have any questions. Anyone has questions? Anyone needs to know anything else about FlexMLS or how to use in FlexMLS? Everyone stays very quiet. I can't even hear you breathing, guys. Usually I can at least hear a background noise, and now you're very quiet. There's the background noise. Okay, so I'm guessing you don't have any questions if I don't hear anything. So Kevin, thank you so much. Kevin is saying I've done an exceptional job explaining, so I really appreciate that. That was very sweet of you. So thank you everyone so much for joining me. It means a lot. I'm not going to be here for much longer, so having your support is very important to me and very highly appreciated. So thank you again for joining me, and if you have any questions, you know how to reach me. Again, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can watch a recording of this webinar. And I hope you have a great rest of the week. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one.